Imagine being on the perfect cruise, sunshine, music, endless blue sea, when suddenly, the ocean explodes. A monster rises, not from a movie, but from the abyss. What would you do if you were there? Stay with us, because once you see what happened next, you'll never look at the ocean the same way again. The dawn broke over the boundless expanse of the deep blue sea. Its surface a flawless canvas kissed by strokes of molten gold. The sky above was a tapestry of soft pinks and oranges, dotted with languid white clouds drifting like forgotten dreams. At the heart of this tranquil scene sailed the CruiseLiner Odyssey, a gleaming titan of luxury, its white hull cutting through the gentle waves with the grace of a swan. On board, thousands of passengers reveled in the decadence of their dream vacation. Laughter and clinking glasses echoed from the sun-drenched decks, where live music, a delicate blend of strings and soft jazz, mingled with the rhythmic whisper of waves against the ship's hull. The air was warm, scented with salt and sunscreen, and the mood was one of carefree bliss. Unbeknownst to the passengers, beneath the serene azure depths, a primordial nightmare stirred, its ancient heart beating with a hunger older than time itself. As the sun climbed to its zenith, bathing the ocean in a cascade of golden light, the idyllic scene shattered. A violent tremor rippled through the water, and the sea erupted in a frothing maelstrom directly in the Odyssey's path. A towering column of water surged skyward, as though the ocean itself had been torn open by some cataclysmic force. Gasps rippled through the crowd as passengers rushed to the railings, their phones raised to capture the spectacle. Then, from the heart of the churning abyss, it emerged. The Kaiju Serpent Titan rose with a slow, deliberate majesty that froze the blood of every onlooker. Its serpentine body, stretching beyond comprehension, was clad in dark, iridescent scales, each as large as a lifeboat and glinting with an otherworldly sheen. Its head, crowned with a jagged crest of bone that resembled the throne of some forgotten god, broke the surface with a low, resonant groan. Its eyes, two fathomless sockets glowing with an eerie golden light, locked onto the Odyssey with predatory intent. Rows of dagger-like teeth, each as long as a man's arm, gleamed in its gaping maw, a cavern of destruction that promised no mercy. Seawater cascaded from its form in torrents, drenching the ship's decks and sending passengers scrambling in panic. The Odyssey, a marvel of human engineering, was dwarfed to insignificance before the creature. The music screeched to a halt, replaced by a cacophony of screams, shattering glass, and the clatter of overturned deck chairs. On the upper deck, a young mother, Clara, clutched her daughter tightly, her heart pounding as she shielded the child's eyes from the monstrous sight. Below, in the ship's opulent dining hall, Captain Elias Reed stood frozen, his coffee cup slipping from his hand to shatter on the polished floor. The crew, trained for storms and mechanical failures, had no protocol for this. The air grew thick with terror, the kind that clawed at the chest and stole the breath. The serene blue ocean had transformed into a stage for a primal drama, with humanity cast as the unwitting prey of a force beyond comprehension. The Kaiju Serpent Titan did not strike immediately. Instead, it began to move, its immense body undulating with a fluid grace that belied its terrifying power. Each motion sent massive waves crashing against the Odyssey's hull, rocking the ship like a toy in a tempest. Passengers stumbled, clinging to railings as the deck tilted precariously. Clara whispered frantic prayers, her daughter's small hands trembling in her own. From the bridge, Captain Reed barked orders, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his gut. "Full stop. Sound the distress signal," he commanded, though he knew no help could arrive in time. The creature glided closer, its scales scraping against the starboard side with a grating screech that echoed like a death knell. Its shadow fell over the ship, plunging half the deck into an unnatural twilight. The air grew heavy with the metallic tang of the deep sea, laced with the musky scent of a predator. A low, guttural growl rumbled from the beast, vibrating through the ship's steel frame and into the bones of every soul on board. It was a sound that spoke of ancient depths, of a world untouched by human ambition. The passengers, once masters of their floating paradise, now felt like intruders in the domain of a god. The Kaiju Serpent Titan raised its crested head, its glowing eyes scanning the ship with a chilling curiosity. Its jaws parted wider, revealing layer upon layer of teeth, dripping with viscous saliva that hissed as it hit the water. Clara's daughter whimpered, and a nearby teenager, phone still in hand, recorded the scene with shaking fingers, whispering, "This can't be real." The monster's gaze seemed to pierce through the ship, as though weighing the worth of its prey. The tension was unbearable, a silence louder than any storm, broken only by the ragged breathing of the terrified and the relentless crash of waves. Rather than attack, the creature began a slow, deliberate dance, circling the Odyssey like a predator toying with its quarry. Each revolution tightened the knot of dread in the passengers' hearts. From the bow, a retired marine biologist, Dr. Helen Voss, watched in horrified fascination. She'd spent her life studying the ocean's mysteries, but nothing in her decades of research had prepared her for this. "It's not just a creature," she muttered to no one, her voice trembling. "It's a relic, a survivor from a time before us." Her words were lost in the chaos, but her mind raced, piecing together fragments of myth and science. This was no mere animal, it was a force of nature, a living cataclysm. The creature's movements grew bolder. A flick of its massive tail sent a wave crashing over the deck, soaking passengers and sending deck furniture tumbling. Its scales grazed the hull again, the sound like 1,000 knives sharpening against stone. From the bridge, Captain Reed watched the sonar, his face pale as the screen revealed the true scale of the beast below the surface, a writhing mass of muscle and scale that dwarfed the ship tenfold. The underwater footage, captured by the ship's external cameras, showed a body that coiled endlessly into the depths, a nightmare given form. As the hours crept by, smaller vessels appeared on the horizon, fishing boats, yachts, perhaps early responders to the Odyssey's distress call. They bobbed like flotsam in the shadow of the Kaiju Serpent Titan, their presence adding to the surreal chaos. A Coast Guard cutter, its crew armed with nothing but courage and inadequate weapons, approached cautiously, its radio crackling with frantic chatter. The creature paid them little heed, its focus locked on the Odyssey. Dr. Voss, now clutching a notebook, scribbled feverishly, her scientist's mind battling her fear. "It's testing us," she whispered. "It's learning." The sky, once a canvas of light, darkened with alarming speed. Heavy, black clouds rolled in, swallowing the sun and casting the sea into shadow. Lightning cracked across the heavens, illuminating the Kaiju Serpent Titan in stark, terrifying clarity. Rain lashed the deck, stinging exposed skin and blurring vision. The ocean churned, waves rising like mountains to batter the Odyssey. The ship groaned under the strain, its hull creaking ominously. Clara held her daughter closer, whispering, "It's going to be okay." Though her voice wavered with doubt, Captain Reed gripped the helm, his knuckles white, knowing the storm was only half the threat. In the heart of the tempest, the Kaiju Serpent Titan seemed to thrive. Its scales gleamed in the lightning's flash, its movements unhindered by the raging sea. It circled closer, its head looming over the ship like a guillotine. A deafening roar, louder than the thunder, erupted from its maw, a sound that shook the very air and sent passengers cowering. Seawater sprayed from its jaws, mixing with the rain in a deluge that flooded the decks. The creature's eyes burned brighter, twin beacons of malevolent intent. A final, blinding bolt of lightning illuminated the scene, casting the Kaiju Serpent Titan in grotesque relief. Its jaws widened, teeth glinting like a forest of blades. The Odyssey rocked violently, its lights flickering as power systems strained. From the bridge, Captain Reed made a desperate call to the Coast Guard, his voice barely audible over the storm. "We need evacuation, now." But the words felt hollow. No helicopter could fly in this maelstrom. No ship could brave the creature's domain. The Kaiju Serpent Titan paused, its head hovering mere meters from the ship's bow. Its gaze seemed to bore into the soul of every passenger, stripping away hope. Clara's daughter sobbed, "Mommy, what does it want?" Clara had no answer. Dr. Voss, her notebook now sodden and useless, stared into the creature's eyes, seeing not just hunger but something ancient, incomprehensible, a purpose beyond human understanding. The monster's jaws twitched, and for a moment, time itself seemed to stop. The storm, the screams, the crashing waves, all faded into a single, suffocating moment of dread. The Kaiju Serpent Titan was no mere beast, it was the ocean's wrath. A reminder of humanity's fragility. As its head began to descend, the passengers braced for the end, their fates hanging in the balance between the merciless sea and the jaws of the abyss.